greedy. Greed is bad.
Swamiji, forgive me for pointing out, I'm not asking questions, you just keep on telling, because the Lord is just wanting to kind of roll off your lips. So I'm pleading innocent at the moment. Plus also, this is a 2-volume set here.
No.
He has wanted so many marks, he's not written. That is why I was asking him. Mine is just here and there.
No,
but Swamiji quoted.
Attainment and
Swamiji quoted, either you've seen Rama or you've seen those who've seen Rama. So you've seen Brahma or you've seen those who've seen Brahmananda. So it's the same.
much more. The vision of mother and lots of things.
Such Mahatmas of such a high order, who are actually avatars. Avatars means we are all avatars, but they have got the highest percentage of the wisdom. That's all. So naturally, they are very near to the Lord practically. So when such people are there, you have to get the moksha. Moksha is obtained only through knowledge. That's what the scriptures are. Jnana deva kevalyam. How to get that jnana? See, when the Lord himself is there, when he is come, he is the one who gives you all the things. He is the totality. He is the totality. He just takes a form, but he is the totality. When the totality has himself come and observed you, will you ask totality, did the fellow read the scriptures? The question is arise. That's all. It is something, see, these are all very rare exceptions. That's why they think.
Yes, remember, you were speaking about this the other day, and I told you, yes, even in the Bible, it says God is glorious in his saints. You can speak about the attributes of Lord Rama and Krishna and Durga, but when you start to speak of the devotees, then it becomes really direct.
He just sees salmon, and then he says, hey, what are you fishing for? I will give you men to fish for. Come on with me, he goes. Do you think if I go and tell somebody, people will come? They will only give me one blow. See, it's all, that was meant like that. That's all. Meant like that.
But it doesn't come unless you are ready, unless you strive. Unless you are ready, unless you are...
But we don't know in this part, but previous part is the question. Something should have been done. But when the flood comes, then everything is flooded. Whether at that time deservedness, undeservedness does not arise. That's all. After all, the flood doesn't come every day.
That's right. But he's right. But we've talked about it 3-4 times in the past week, that at the very end of the Bible, St. John the Apostle, after seeing the whole book of Revelations, seeing all the heavens, he says a prayer, that one-word prayer to Jesus. He says, therefore, Lord Jesus, come. So even though we're not ready, the prayer should be, come quickly, come.
You know, should pray.
Yes.
Prayer is required.
Yes.
That individual readiness to pray, the readiness to offer oneself to the Lord.
In fact, we were speaking of Swami Turiyananda outside. I was reading one of his books or one of his letters and about when he had started Shanti Ashram in Northern California, and some of the devotees there, they were ladies, American ladies, really these pioneer type, really like grit. But it was so hard. They had, living in the northern part of the redwoods, it was very cold, and they gathered water from a river 3 miles away. He was having them do 6, 8, 10 hours of meditation. Then he was talking the scriptures. Then they had to walk 6 miles back and forth for water and build. And some of these ladies, they said to Swamiji, we're going to die if you don't lighten up. You know, give us we just can't, we'll die of exhaustion. And Swamiji said that famous quote, which I've always remembered. He said, do or die, but you won't die. But then later, some of the ladies started complaining again, saying, "You say that, Swamiji, but I think we're going to die." And he said, "Okay, if you die, I promise I'll build a samadhi for you, and I myself will do some puja. So if you die, it'll be a blessing. So I'm not telling you you're not going to die, but if you really think you will, don't worry, even in that case, you'll be saved. So keep on doing the meditation. Keep on." And again, such severe tapasya.
That's a great tapasya.
Sri Anandagiri Maharaj did tapasya, I think, for 15 years or so in Almoda. He went to the place. When I went there to the Mayavati, in Mayavati, when I went beyond Almoda, some 8 hours further from Almoda.
Right.
So there we went to the place where he did tapasya.
You see, and that what kind of, it makes me really think. People say, you know, if I have to do so much tapasya because I'm born in this era where I'm not with a Paramahamsa, I'm not with Bhagavan. And if I was with Bhagavan, I would just sit and his grace would flow and I'd really have to do nothing. But if you look at the lives of those who are with Paramahamsa Sri Ramakrishna or Bhagavan, they were doing long hours of meditation. Long hours.
Who was that Swamiji who went along with Swamiji to America and was blown up? Trigunatitananda. This Trigunatitananda, he went and told him, "You come with me to America." "Na Baba, na Baba, I will not come." He said, "Look here." He said, "Na Baba, I cannot lecture. For lecture I am there. But I want somebody who puts everything into practice. They should see a tapasvi. So I want you to be there. So for tapasvi I am taking you. I will demonstrate here is a tapasvi. Lecture I will give."
I went to his center in San Francisco where Trigunatitananda was, and there was an old lady there who apparently knew him. She was ancient. I don't know, she must have been ancient. And she said that when, you know, before his end, one of the disciples threw a bomb as he was on the stage giving his and blew him up. Because he was just so ferocious about you must, you know, find God. You must. And she said that when he would speak, her hair would stand on end. And coming away with, "I must." He was speaking something that was almost physically impossible. She came away thinking, "I must try." He really put that into them. This thing, rare. It's a rare thing. And you know something? There are stories of Bhagavan about the same thing. You know, when I would speak to Chandra before Chandra left his body, he pointed out to me where Arthur Osborne, in the book where Arthur Osborne said that when he would come into the old hall and Bhagavan would be sitting on the shrine, sitting on the sofa, Bhagavan would say, "You sit there," where he could watch him meditate. He said, you know, and there were times also he pointed out, he said, you know, he said, you know, some people say Bhagavan, you know, never really told people to meditate and it was just everything was the same. But people would sit in that old hall and hour after hour, and then they just start looking at the rafters, you know, getting distracted. And Bhagavan would say, "Hey, you know, you're here for just meditate. Close your eyes, meditate." Really, this is the Bhagavan Ramana. And you know, this is why Arthur Osborne, he said in that book, I believe it was My Life in Quest, he said what Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa started, Bhagavan was still the end of that same lineage, that same teaching, like you must make your mind bear down on God.
You have to take the citadel by storm. That's why people used to ask me, that's the second sloka, third sloka in Vivek Chudamani, that these are the orders of gravity. where the facilities are given by the Lord to get God. And there he says, number one is to be born as a man, as a human being. As a tiger and a lion, you can't do any meditation. So you have to be born as a man. So that's the first blessing. Then the second blessing is, he says, as a human being I am born. The second he says, Om Stvam. To be, many people have translated it as to be born as a male. It's meaningless. He says by Pum Stvam, the qualities of a man, you should have the aggressiveness. Otherwise, God let him give when he wants. What is the use of now asking him? Then you are sitting idle. You should be able to take this.
Even a woman should have that virya, yes.
So that is the quality of man. So you have that aggressiveness of a male. That is what it means.
Well, you know, the ladies here, you'll understand because you're all devotees. You'll understand what I mean when I say this. But Saint Teresa of Avila, when she started her convents, and she went around, and she was a great saint. And so ladies came and gave up the world. And she really, you read her biographies, and she really made them do hours of prayer and hours of all sorts of sadhana. And she would say, now understand when I say this, she said, I only have one rule. If you're going to live in this house, you're going to live in this ashram, but only one rule. And the rule was, don't act like a bunch of women. Now, you understand what I mean? Don't act like a bunch of women. Now, do you know what I said? Don't take offense of...
Like a couple of women.
Understood, okay.
Rather, you can understand it better in this way. Somebody commented when Indira Gandhi was there in the cabinet. In a cabinet of women, there is only one man, that is Indira Gandhi. There is, in other words, the quality is, you can see, both man and women have got both the hormones. Without one, you can't have. The tenderness of a lady is required. The aggressiveness of a man, the persistence is required. So both are required as such.
That's the Punswan, correct?
That is the purpose of the Ardhanarishvara, where the Lord has taken both these things. Half of it is given to the mother, the indivisible portion is given in his own body. That's the reason. See, simple being as mere that malishness alone will not do, nor the femininity alone that will not do. You have to have both. That's the purpose.
Swamiji, could you please comment on that? Whichever man I meet, every man that I meet says Shakti gets the energy from Shiva. Every woman that I know says Shiva gets the energy from Shakti. So, you know, it's like this male
They are
female.
foolish.
What is
They
that?
are foolish. The purpose, the point is, the burning power of a fire, the fire burns. It is not different from the fire. You cannot, if there is a fire which doesn't burn at all, you will call that fire at all. So, only for upasana purposes, we try to separate it, and then we worship that burning power separately and the fire separately. Similarly, Shiva in this thing is not there. The 999th name in Lalita Sahasranam says, for the Lalita Parmeshwari, Shiva Shakti Ekarupinde Namaha. Shiva and Shakti are not separate, they are one. I bow to that one form. So, this is the Shakti of Shiva. Neither Shiva gave the Shakti. When Shakti has been separated, where has he got the Shakti to take and give anything? He is not. She is the Shakti. She is the one. See, it's the very power. That is, the Lord has got that power. So that power, see, the male power there, it only remains quiet. It just ceases. When the female power which goes, it creates, it sustains, it does everything, it looks at the people, it puts people into the samsara, it also disentangles them from samsara. Everything is done by the Shakti. It is not that Shiva has given Shakti, they are all foolish, they do not know the ABCD of things, that's all. That's all. That means they know nothing about spirituality nor religion. That's all foolish. They can stand anything but utter stupidity. When you are stupid, don't comment. Don't advertise your stupidity. Keep it to yourself, secretly.
Remember when we were in Baylor Mutt and you said, let's go see our mother, Sri Ramakrishna? You would say, let's go visit our mother, Sri Ramakrishna, and go into the temple.
It is wonderful. When I went to Vrindavan, when I went to the mother's place, the place was as it is, where the mother will not go before men. Down below was the Gopala's temple. But the entire Gopala's temple where people will be sitting and doing the bhajan, everything can be seen. So mother, there's a small bottle-like thing in her small house. She will go and stand there. I went and stood there and imagined that Gopala's temple is still there, that entire thing. It is still there. And the cookhouse of mother and small room in which you sleep. We went and sat there 1 hour in meditation. They have not yet begun to reform it and think, then everything will be gone. This time I went, they have acquired it. They have not yet done anything. It was crystal, pristine, pure. Just when you go there, you just see the mother sitting there, the mother going. See, there is a small window through which she sees all the people. The people have all come to see her. They will all be downstairs. From here, you will see like this. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see the entire thing in my mental image. It's a mental image. So beautiful. 8 people came along with me. And because they came with me, this time, they first a group of people went. They were taken there by 2 of the girls who came with me.
Wow.
They said, we know the place. They took her there. They took
It is
her
in
on.
Vrindavan.
Yeah, that's very
He only gave me the indication of it and wrote it. It's also very nice.
They kept this mother's room as it is. And they are changing the, building the
Nice.
regular parts.
Nice.
They are taking the corridor.
It's so very good. Similarly, we can go into the Ramakrishna's room, but the down below is there also. There's a Gopal's temple down below. I don't know how it happens. In the same house, down below there's a temple. He's in the first floor. What is the beauty was, the day he went over there to his room, he didn't go to his room. He first went to Gopal. The moment he saw, he went to the Samadhi. That's all. And then, after 2 hours or 3 hours, he got up. So the moment you saw the Gopala's mandir, you remember he's going into Samadhi.
Mother stayed there for more than years.
More than a year.
More than a year in this corridor. Very good stuff.
It was not in any big place, it was all almost like a market, so many people and all, they're ordinary people, simple people.
Yeah.
So in the midst of it, she got a room. That's all.
Yes.
It was Balram Basu's house. Balram
Balram
Basu's. The whole thing was his house, and that part